folks, welcome back to Indaba Africa. This is Chris once again. Hello folks, welcome back once again to Chris Wyatt Africa here on the Indaba Africa channel, part of the Indaba Broadcasting Network, on a lovely Saturday, the 17th of April, 2021. Can you believe it? It's now been a year plus that we've been living in this bizarro world. It's quite strange. Well, a special feature today. My apologies for not much promo ahead of time, but I think you're going to find it quite interesting and informative. And we're going to be talking to Jo Ridell and Linda Luiz today about Awaken Your Heartsong. What the heck is that? Now, I'm going to tell you up front that I'm a bit of a skeptic, and so we'll see how this goes. But ladies, if you could turn your mics on, because I asked them to put on mute while I had them in silence. Look at they're looking very nice too, both of them. So, Jo, welcome to you. How's it?
Hello.
And Linda, how's it going there?
Hi, Chris. Hi, everyone. We're so excited to be here.
Well, I got to tell you, I'm kind of excited to have you guys here with me because it's been a long week for me. I was a bit knackered, and Jo has helped me get some musical performers on the program, and I got confused between events, and then I sort of sorted it out, and we all spoke earlier, and I wasn't really sure where we're going today, but I think the direction we're going to go and the conversation we're going to have, I think most people will find it quite interesting and maybe helpful, and that's ultimately what we're trying to do. So, Jo, why are we here? Tell us a little bit about what we're talking about.
I think that's Linda's department.
Okay, well let's let Linda do that then. Okay.
It's both our department, Jo. We're in this together, girl. So Jo and I we'll basically fill you in together. We'll just ad lib and fill each other in as we go along. So Jo and I put together this workshop called Awaken Your Heartsong because we just felt the need, especially today more than ever, with everything the world has been through in the last year and a bit, the need to connect to ourselves. You know, there's so much distraction, so much fear-based information coming into our energy field, into our minds, subconsciously and consciously. And so we wanted to put a workshop together which would allow people to connect to themselves more. Because, Chris, who do you have the longest relationship with in this lifetime?
Well, that's a good question, but I think it's a trick answer. So I'm going to say myself, but I think it's
right.
Oh, hey, I got it right.
We are stuck with ourselves for 24/7. We can't get away from ourselves. So it is so important. And the more I've done personal development work on myself, the more I realized how important my relationship with myself is, because if that isn't good and healthy and I don't talk nicely to myself, then how on earth am I going to have a functional, healthy, positive relationship with another human being, or uplift them, or be there for them? If I don't look after myself first, then it stops with me. So, and Jo, would you like to add at this stage?
Yeah, I think so. So, I think everything in life that I've tried to do, and I've been very successful in my music career, and then I took a dump. But you've really got to look at yourself, and that's why I've done the NKE with Mark J. Klaus Wallenberg. Dr. Klaus Wallenberg was my guide in that as well. And the more I develop myself, the more successful I become in everything that I do. And I think that's the key of success, is that we need to be a better version of ourselves. We need to self-invest. And this is really what it's about. Because we can't really give. We're so distracted by everything. We always want to give. I'm a blue personality. Go look at colorcode.com. I'm a blue personality. I always want to give. It's not about money. It's not about this. It's not about that. It's my nature, right? Music as well speaks to the heart. I always want to give. I always want to make people feel better. But I can't really do that if I don't feel better about myself.
Well, it's interesting both of you say that, but for clarity for the audience here, Joe is talking about a person who's generous of heart, giving and kind, and many people are that way. Unfortunately, not enough Homo sapiens are quite oriented in that fashion. But that's from your perspective. You're coming at because you're a giving person and you've neglected yourself potentially is what we're talking about. But we can't go the other extreme. The Don, hey, it's going to be bigger. It's going to be the best. It's going to be the best ever. Or, are these politicians that are so self-absorbed and everything is me, Nancy Pelosi, me. I'm a street fighter. I'll take them on. It's so we're not talking about those two extremes of being overly generous or overly egotistical and self-absorbed. What we're talking about here is taking care of yourself mentally, spiritually, yourself. And look, people watch my show know that I'm not some kind of new age, Indian Bhagwan guru sort of person. And when I hear the term life coach, I get a little skeptical. But what you ladies are talking about here is really about taking care of yourself. If you can't, it's kind of like, let me put it in these terms, and then Linda, you can respond. It's kind of like on a plane, it's counterintuitive to put the mask on yourself before you put it on your small child. But there's a reason you do that. You have to take care of yourself, because if you're trying to reach over and take care of your child and you pass out from lack of oxygen, then you're both dead. So you've got to take care of yourself in order to function. Am I getting it right?
Yeah.
Beautiful. I couldn't have described it better, Chris. I think that is absolutely spot on. And what we do in this workshop is we take people through processes. So in this workshop that we're going to do, it's a 2-part workshop. It takes place on the 11th, both the 11th and the 18th of May. South African time will be 17:30, and it's 19:30. What is it, Joe? 19:30. Hey, yeah, 1930. And it's each session is a 2.5 hour session, and in those sessions there's interaction. So we are not just going to be preaching, and it's not about preaching, it's participation. And we want people to participate, because that's how they're going to start shifting. So the activities that we get people involved with, music is the thread of this workshop. And that's where my beautiful friend Jo comes in, because she is our muso. She creates music. She's just incredible. And so we're going to be bringing some elements of her music that she's created into the workshop and getting people to connect with themselves through music. Music is the universal language. It's the universal language of love, and it's the universal language we all connect to. If you hear a song in Italian and you don't speak Italian, something in the beat or the rhythm connects to your heart. And so music and sound, even silence is a form of connecting to yourself. In fact, our most spiritual connection is when we sit in silence. So we're going to be using silence, sound, wonderful, integrative and participative techniques for people to actually dig deep within themselves, look at their patterns, look at what's not working in their lives, look at where they want their lives to be. And it's not, you're going to do this workshop and magic wand. It's ongoing work with oneself. We're not promoting that, do our workshop and your life will change forever. La la land. It's not la la land. We want to facilitate people and give them practical things that they can integrate in their lives every day. Jo and I are doing these things. And you know what? Some days we get it right and some days we don't. And just the other day, Jo and I were chatting, and I was saying to Jo, Jo, I'm actually so stuck. I've got to move out of the stuff. And you know what? We chatted, and by the end of our conversation, we had techniques that we were doing and we were back on track. So it's all about that collective coming together, helping each other, providing tools that a person can use on a daily basis, tools that can, as you said, self-care, self-soothe. And, just people who have been in isolation with lockdown and who are perhaps feeling very lonely. I mean, there are a lot of people who are single, who are on their own, don't even have a dog or a cat, and they're stuck in their little one-room apartment and have got nobody. And, a simple thing that a person can do is a self-embodiment technique of just hugging yourself. If everybody would like to try it now, just put your arms around yourself and feel how it feels to just give yourself a hug.
No matter where your personality, whether you are red, blue, yellow, white, doesn't matter. Like, we don't give enough attention to ourselves, and we're never that honest with ourselves. And that's where that beautiful poem comes in of the man in the mirror that Mark J also introduced to me is, on the end of the day, who are you being honest with? Everybody else or yourself? And that's the hardest thing to do. Honestly, it is.
Well, you've ladies have touched on something, and I think that Linda, you raised a point that's here. It's interesting. With my program, for a long time now, I've started my shows out with Für uns Mensa from Giselle, which has become kind of a theme music for my show. Even though YouTube tells me I don't have copyrights to it, I do. They leave no place for me to share the copyright with. Anyway, so anyway, but a long-running dispute with the two. But anyway, I do have copyright to the material. Anyway, so I play that song. What's that, Joe?
I'll give you my copyright too, evocative.
Well, thank you. I will definitely market your music. We'll check it out and put it on there. I've been doing it for Trevor as well, and people are loving his music.
Yeah.
But the thing is that what I'm getting at is that the song is enough for cons, but I have a global audience. About 65% is based in South Africa, and some are expats, South Africans from overseas. But the rest of my audience is international folks, about 35%. And they don't speak Afrikaans by and large, but the music resonates with them, and it brings a great mood and move. Even if you don't get it, but here's the things. I mean, you can also learn a language which changes your brain and alters how you view things. I mean, to this day, I'm still a massive fan of Eros Ramazzotti. And I understand Italian, but I don't speak it. But Mangia bello questo amore. Anyways, it's stuck in the head. It's there. They don't just bring it out of you. And so I think you've really hit on something about combining music with the stuff that Chris would be a little skeptical of, the hugging yourself and the new age sort of stuff, but by hugging but bringing that together with music is awesome. I mean, music is a really amazing way to do it. Linda, so what made you think of this? Was it because you and Joe were friends and you're like, hey, or did Joe suggest it? What made you think about tying the music together with what you were already doing in life coaching?
Jo actually came to me one day. She was in a bit of a stuck place, and she said, I want to hear more, because I do doTERRA oils as well. She wanted to hear more about the oils. So she came to me and we were chatting about the oils, and she said, what do I do next? And I'm in a bit of a place here. And I said, Jo, why don't we do a workshop together? We combine your music with the life coaching, and we get people to experience and actually, because I know it sounds fluffy and nice and but I want people to get deep. We want this workshop people to get to the core of their patterns. It's not just airy fairy, rah, rah, hug yourself. We want people to get into a space of really getting into self-awareness, really becoming more aware of what they have created in their life so far, what they are currently creating, what is working, what isn't, and how they can move through that into a more desirable space, a space where they are maybe more in control of their life, where they're taking more responsibility for their life. Because often we're in a blame state, the whole world is our problem, or is the problem. And we don't look at ourselves, and we don't look at, or we're so stuck in denial of what the issues are, that we don't know how to actually step forward. And we just need a little bit of, a few techniques, or a bit of looking inward, retrospection. And we can then say, okay, wow, I can breathe again. Let me take the next step forward. So that's really where we're coming from. Just on the workshop, we're also going to be giving people support with a WhatsApp group. So people are going to be accountable to us by ticking each day the activities that they're going to be required to do. And we're going to be doing it as well. We're accountable to them, and they're accountable to us. We're all in this together. And we're doing the journey together. So it really is, we want people to really participate, not to just come for a little pep talk, rah, rah, feel good. We want them to actually integrate this in their lives on a day-to-day basis, where they can actually, after 21 days, it takes 21 to 30 days to change a habit. So we want them to start creating new habits in their lives. So it's a very practical, empowering workshop. So that is our intention.
I made my bed this morning.
Well done, Jo.
Is that Is that something new for you, Jo? Making your bed?
Well, nobody lives here except me, so I didn't really have to make my bed. It's like come in, come out. It's comfortable, But you know what? Like I've got, like I said earlier on, I've got these index cards of what I'm grateful for, things that I've done. Like if you just make a list, a lot of us, and this is the way we've grown up, especially in South Africa, and I think you would understand that. It's the Dutch, it's the German, it's the English. It's all the things that we've grown up in a way of all the negative things and not focusing on the positive things. What can we do better? But sometimes we need to look at the things that we've actually done. I've made up my bed. I've done the washing. I've done my twirl in the shower. We'll talk about that, the cold shower, okay? This morning, I didn't get back in. Sometimes I forget. And then I go back in and I put the cold shower on quickly and I do my little twirl. But doing cards of actually things, index cards, Mark J, of things that you're grateful for. And you use it as a stack of like playing cards. And you mix them up and you stack them everywhere and you carry some with you. Some are in your office, some are in your room. First thing that you do in the morning, instead of grabbing your phone, almost the same size. What am I grateful for? What have I actually done that day? If you just write down the little things. I've made up my bed. I've taken a shower, which believe me, a lot of people don't even do every day. I've done the washing. I've done this. I've done that. You just make a list of all the little things that you've done. You'll be amazed at the end of the day. Like I'm a perfectionist, and I want to do immensely a lot in the day. You feel at the end of the day, oh, I've done nothing. But if you just noted those little things, you look and you think, you know what, I'm not that bad. Look at all these wonderful things I've done today. I've actually done a lot. And then you start feeling better about yourself. And you actually see what your worth is. And I think that's a big thing. I struggle a lot with that as a musician. Worth, self-worth, value. Do I have value in this world? Do I have value for myself? And a lot of us do that, not every personality, but especially somebody like me. We look at our worth. Am I valuable to this world?
Well, I get that entirely. I'm very much a results-oriented sort of person. I always have been. Whether it was, making sure that the barn was, raked out and all the cow manure was out of there so we could milk the cows, or it's baling hay, or it was, achieving something academically or achieving a certain, goal in sports. But it's the little things you can set for yourself, little goals, like you talk about making your bed. I mean, if you're in a rut, if you're in kind of a lull, you can set little things like that. I mean, this morning, between our conversation, I was busy recording a couple of videos, which had to be uploaded, and just getting through the steps. Those little successes can all be part of what you're doing, because it's so easy to fall into a rut, isn't it, Linda? To just fall into a pattern which is maybe not beneficial to your physical or mental well-being. And not even realize it. And next thing you know, you're there. And I can tell right here now, ladies, this is not directed at any ladies because it affects all of us. But the first thing that happens with ladies is weight gain. So easy for weight gain, and women will take that on and they'll absorb it themselves. And you fall into this rut and you get into a pattern which is not healthy. Is that making sense, Linda?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's sort of, you almost get into a downward spiral and you become... And, especially like moms out there, and if you've got children, you become so depleted because you run around everybody else and you're doing laundry and you're doing this and you're doing that. And there's so little left of you. And even if you're a working mom, you're juggling all these balls, and it becomes just you're racing to get through things, or, and then we lose sight of who am I? What am I? What is important for me? Am I looking after myself? And then we get sick. And then our body gets sick because it's telling us, what is it actually doing? It's a message from the body to tell us something's not right.
Too much.
Something in our life is not right. It's too much.
Yeah.
And so, and there's so much happening in this world with social media. We've got constant invasion of our space. Instagram's going off and Facebook's tinging and WhatsApp. And so we forget to actually be silent sometimes. And in the silence, often, is how we connect to our essence, our truth, what we really want in life, what is working, what isn't. Otherwise, we get caught up in this hamster on the little wheel, and going round and round and round. And so it's important to actually just be mindful to stop and smell the roses and actually breathe. Remember to breathe. I think, and I'm guilty of this. I think for such a long period of my life, I breathed shallowly. I didn't breathe down to the gut. And I don't know if you know about the Wim Hof breathing, Chris. Mm-hmm. And he has really got a wonderful technique there of just breathing right down to the gut, because we breathe, and I've been guilty of this myself, of just breathing shallowly, holding it all, constricting it all in the solar plexus, and just not breathing. And I've become so much more mindful of this over the last few years. And the Wim Hof breathing technique is really fantastic. It really takes you to the heart of your breath. And that in itself oxygenates your body, helps your mental health. So, to become more mindful of what we're doing to ourselves every day, moment by moment, to become more mindful in the moment is so important. And, some days I get it right and some days I don't. But it's not, before I would have beaten up on myself. Now it's like, okay, so I didn't get it right. So I just pick it up and I start again. And now that's a new day. Yesterday does not define me. Got it wrong yesterday, but today is a new day. I have an opportunity to create something positive again. And it's just, that is what, the more we get into that repetition and the more mindful we become of what we're doing in our lives, or, so say, for example, you are smoking too much and you want to, it's like, let me cut down 5 cigarettes.
That would be 1 cigarette. It's too much.
So there might be habits. Yeah. What can I cut down? What can I improve? How can I improve my life, my nutrition, my health, my, how much I'm getting done in a day, how much I'm giving to myself, all those sort of things. And am I connecting with my purpose? What is my purpose in this life? What am I doing? Am I just a hamster on the treadmill, going and doing a job, running around everybody else, or is there a greater purpose? What is my purpose in what I'm doing now?
And I think that counts a lot for men too, because they've got this huge responsibility for looking after their families. And they're not really always living their purpose. I'm not saying everybody, but they go after what is making money, this is that, And I think they find that the same as we do in a different way. Midlife crisis, I've got my own as a woman even.
But so I was going to say that and I'm going to ask Jo this question, but let me just preface this by saying the following. So a lot of people, when they look at my channel, they watch my channel and like, well, you have some very wide, eclectic mix of guests. I mean, I have the restaurant, the CEO of the Restaurant Association of South Africa, the head of the Macadamia Nut Growers Association, Steve Hofmeyer. I've got Bantu Holomisa on my channel, Corne Mulder. I mean, people from all over, all aspects. A small-scale Ghanaian farmer from Ghana, a securities analyst from Ghana, a national security expert from Nigeria. So I interview people from all walks of life. And what I tell people is that the thing that I've discovered in life from living all over the world, all over Africa, all over Europe, and all over North America is that people undervalue themselves by and large, except people with the big egos, of course. I mean, that even they have their frailties, but people undervalue their contributions, and this is why suicide is so sad to see, because everybody has value, every life has value, and everybody has a story. Now, some people may not be good storytellers, and they'll bore you to tears, but their story is interesting nonetheless. And so if you're just willing to listen and sit through it and deal with it, then you can really go somewhere. But what I was getting at with that is that, first off, we all matter. And this is from somebody, people would assume, like, well, this guy was a colonel in the army. He's big combat. What does he care about people? Well, I do. But that's the first part. The second part of this, Jo, and this is why I want to take this question to you, is because as a performer, as a musician, we were talking offline. I said, everybody has got their insecurities. I'm sure Beyonce, who's worth $1 billion, probably worries about her appearance, or worries about, did she hit that note right? Is she done the right thing with her social media? We all have insecurities. Some people just are very good at keeping them internalized. You never see it from a confidence standpoint. And in the military, that's something, of course, we try to make sure you don't want to see people's weaknesses or their frailties, because you've got to present, a strong image. But we all have that. So Jo, as a musician, I'm sure, as you sort of alluded to earlier, you've had times you've doubted yourself. You've wondered if you're doing the right thing, or maybe you're critical of your own performance. I mean, even the people at the apex, leaders of countries, celebrities, not that I consider them be at the apex, but I'm just saying but people who are up there, titans of industry, everyone's got their frailties. So, Jo, do you think that's accurate? And as a musician, as a performer, have you had that time in your life when you've had those doubts and you've been full of self-doubt, or you've questioned if you're on the right path?
Can I be honest with you? I'm nervous every single time I go on stage. Even about this interview, I was shaking like this early on. Honestly. And there's a lot of people probably on the stream knowing that because they've seen me early on. And the thing with music as well, even this, but especially with music, that is showing your vulnerability. And you have to be vulnerable and humble and tune into yourself if you want to give your best performance. So it's not on the military line. We are literally putting ourselves out there every single time we perform. Last Friday, I performed with the DJ, Nick the Greek, down here at Little Britain, Commonwealth Square, and I didn't even know what was going to happen. I just took a leap of faith. We spoke in the morning and was like, okay, this is something I wanted to do, and he gave me an opportunity. Again, it's putting myself out there. Sunday I played with somebody else, Rob Marks. And again, I just put myself out there. I have to, that is my vulnerability, is my music. If I don't open up my heart, the music is not going to touch anybody. Same I did on my album. I did that under 10 hours, and I did it on a hungry stomach for that reason. Because that vulnerability will touch somebody. At the same time, you're being strong in your own vulnerability. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that makes any sense.
No, it makes sense to me.
But no matter what your personality is, we all have that. Mm-hmm. And music it's a universal language of touching that and being strong in your vulnerability and showing that.
Well, I have to, before I get to Linda, I'm going to bring it back to Linda in a second, but I've got to take a little bit from the chat here, and I'm just poking a little fun here. So Larsalis meant to say something else, but he typed, courage is not the absence of fear, boldness is. I'm not bald. I think he meant boldness, not baldness. So
yeah.
just having a little fun with Larsalis there. But baldness, well, then I must be terrified if it's baldness. But Linda, let's get back to this conversation about now they've had a little fun with the chat. By the way, I don't often go after my audience, but I'm going to say this. Look, this is a fascinating conversation. Let's smack that like button there. It won't cost you any money. It costs, special today for all my viewers, 0 Rand to push the like button. No charge, absolutely gratis, free today. Today only. There's one. We got one more. Let's like that button anyway. So Linda, it's the workshop you guys are talking about. Is this the first time out of the gate you're going to try this method or this function? And if it, is it the first time? How will you define success? 2 people, 200 people, or people don't matter? It's just how people come out of it. And will you go forward and do it again? That's 3 questions.
Yes. So this is the first time Jo and I are doing this together. I have done other workshops before, but it's the first one. But we're very excited, and it's been really a beautiful process of collaboration. In terms of number of people, we'd like to keep the first one intimate. Mm-hmm. We kind of felt 20 to 25 people so that we can give people quality. Sure. We don't want to go mass. And yes, it would be lovely to have 500 people, but we wanted to count. Mm-hmm. And we want people to feel the effect. And we feel that we would be more in integrity if we kept the numbers small. Mm-hmm. So we're looking at about 20 to 25 people max. And yes, we would definitely love to repeat this. We both feel this so strongly. I know I'm speaking for Jo, but we've had this discussion and we really feel passionate about this. We want to roll this out on a longer term basis. and improve it as we go along. We want people's feedback. This worked. This, you could have done this more. We want that feedback. We are work in progress all the time, but we know that what we've put together, we know that it is inspirational, and we know that it can change people's lives fundamentally on a daily basis, and that's what we're excited about. So we would like to start fairly small and niche, and rather do more of those smaller sessions, because we want people to feel that they are getting value for money, that they are being taken seriously. It's not just come and join this and rah rah rah. We want them to feel the process of change as they're involved in the workshop.
Excellent.
And I think it's all about masterminding as well, and that's why we're keeping it intimate on the first one. We're also learning. So eventually we'll probably go bigger, because we need administrators and Chris, all of that stuff. And we'll form tribes and things like that we can keep it intimate and connected all the time. But also, masterminding. So we're doing the first mastermind, and then we'll eventually make it bigger and bigger, and mastermind in groups, in tribes. Like Mark J does. I talk a lot about Mark J because that's where I've learned it.
You keep saying mastermind. I keep thinking of some diabolical, evil genius, a mastermind.
when we're striving with something, we can share it with each other. We can say, I've got this challenge. And when you tune in, it's like a radio station. When you tune into the same frequency, it's like these notes. You've got to tune into that frequency, not A40 or A42 or A38.
You're going to miss it.
Into that frequency together, that's a mastermind alliance.
I see where you're going.
That's where things happening.
Okay,
That's
cool.
That masterminding. So we help each other. We connect. We tune into each other's frequencies, and we uplift each other, and we help each other. And, it's being that community. That's really what it's about.
Well, that's a big part of getting through this entire past 15, 16 months of lunacy that's been going on around the world. But I need to do a little bit of housekeeping real quick, ladies, if you give me a moment. Bear with me here. A couple of people said they didn't get notifications. Folks, that's what we call shadow banning. This was posted almost 24 hours ago that the stream was going to be up, and you should have been notified. But bear in mind that the tube will only promise to send all notifications if you have your app open. So if you open your app up, then you'll get it. But if you're waiting on an email, they no longer send emails to everybody all the time for all the streams. So it's important to make sure that you have the app if you want to get notified. But again, this is a normal stream time for me, so it shouldn't come as a surprise. But here's an example here. So like I have updates because I have the app open on my mobile from Fox News, which I don't watch anymore, so I should turn that off. Super Rugby, and then who's this from? I don't even know who this is from. Oh, it's from Loving Life. Loving Life is back again. How they haven't even been off. They haven't even been down for a week. How are they back? They haven't even been off for a week. I got to get whatever the secret sauce is that Scott Balson has, because he got his channel removed forever, then magically came back. He got suspended. He got suspended for a week. It hasn't even been a week, and he's back up. And then, two Loving Life. So my point is that, see, there's the updates. You get that in the app. So you got to use the app, and I can't even guarantee you get it. But look, folks, that's shadow banning. I can't control it. We just make the best of it. Just know that normal course of events, I'm on it at noon, East Coast, 6 p.m. South Africa, 3:30 E5 East Coast, 9:35 South Africa, every day of the week, unless I got something going like I've had with the consulting business this week. But now that wasn't the housekeeping. Here's the housekeeping. So, folks, you're listening to Chris Wyatt Africa on the Indaba Africa channel, part of the Indaba Broadcasting Network, on the 17th of April, 2021. And my guests today are Linda and Jo. We're talking about life coaching and improving your mental state and your well-being. I think I've described that well. And that's kind of where the topic is. Herzlich willkommen bei uns auf Chris Wyatt Africa. Wir sind froh, dass Sie sind da heute bei uns. Und wir reden jetzt über ein interessantes Thema. Und das ist ja etwas anderes für mich. Ganz bizarr, nicht normal, etwas Besonderes. Und wir werden also auf Französisch jetzt weitergehen. Bienvenue chez Chris Wyatt. Nous sommes très heureux que vous êtes là chez nous. Nous sommes en train de parler au sujet quelque chose différent. C'est les choses, c'est bizarre, c'est étranger pour moi. Mais nous sommes là. and we'll continue now. Anyway, folks, so I just having a little fun there, getting a little fluff in the program there. So anyway, and I won't even try to do Afrikaans because I will have to just say, maar ek praat nie Afrikaans nie. Eh?
Baie welkom.
There you go.
Namibië, waar ook al julle almal is. En baie dankie dat julle almal op hierdie livestream is.
There we go. There we go. She did what I did. When you get lost, always throw another language in at the end. She threw German in at the end. Anyway, well, listen. So what I want to ask you all is now how does this work? Is this a Zoom session? Is it WebEx? Is it oh my goodness, Microsoft Teams? What are you using there, Linda? What's the mechanism?
So it's Zoom. It's Zoom sessions. So what people will do, they'll email us to say that they want to join up, or we'll send them the information. Then they will be given the Zoom details before the actual date. We'll also set up a WhatsApp group welcoming them, and then they'll join the Zoom session. It will be 2.5 hours each workshop or each session of the workshop, and there'll be homework for people to do, but it's not laborious homework. It's practical homework that they have to then implement in their lives. So it's that kind of thing.
Okay, so homework. You lost me when you said homework. No,
Okay, let me rephrase that.
Yeah.
Not homework. It will be self-reflection. It will be mindfulness techniques. It will be things that they're going to be implementing. Not homework. Homework is the bad word. Delete, guys. Delete that from the mind.
Never write in red. Do you remember my class? So her daughter was one of my piano students. I don't write in red at all. And I've got all these funny pictures up. Please make mistakes. We are self-investing. I still make mistakes every day. That's why I never, ever write in red. Because it's a thing in our minds since childhood.
Yeah.
Well, I write in red for self-editing, but when I edit other people's work, I use purple.
Yeah.
Because I want people, and as an undergraduate and then postgraduate professor, and someone who's been in teaching and mentoring for years, I find that it's just years ago when I was able to get a purple pen because I like purple, I found that there's no scientific thing to this, but I just found that a lot of people when they see red on the paper, they assume you're being critical of them. And I don't want the author to consider. I mean, look, if I'm going to be critical of you, you'll know about it, and I will be straight. There'll be no obfuscation. There'll be no opaque. It'll be very transparent. You suck, and this is why. No, so I like to use the purple because I'm making suggestions, recommendations to improve or to make it clearer for the audience. And so that's, I don't know, Linda, what do you think of that approach? You think that's a good approach?
I think that's stunning, and I love the color purple. I think that's so. That's all about connecting with spirit, actually. I know you don't like the fluffy stuff, but I'll throw a bit of fluffy stuff in there. You are a very spiritual being, and you are connected to your spirit. You're using purple. Woo!
Well, it's funny you say that, Linda, because there's a few times in my life, I mean, I don't think of myself in certain terms as knowing myself in certain terms like that, but really, a lot of times we're things we don't realize. And you just said that about me. That's probably very true. And I don't realize it because I approach it from a different angle and I do those things. It's part of my makeup, but I don't recognize it as the way other people describe it. It's kind of like when I was in Tunisia, my best friend there at the L'École d'État-Major, the staff college there, was from Niger. And we had a conversation one day, and he said, "You're a very moral person. You're one of the best people I ever met, Chris." And I said, "Well, thank you. It's very kind of you." He said, "But you know why that is?" And I'm like, maybe because everything I learned in my childhood, I decided to do 180 degrees opposite. So he said, no. He said, it's because your country, you come from Judeo-Christian origins. And I said, yeah, but I said, Ibrahim, I'm not a person of deep faith. I don't go to church regularly. I mean, I have faith, but it's not central core to me. He goes, no, you don't understand, Chris. You grew up in a culture, a morality in which Judeo-Christian beliefs were there. And this is a Muslim telling this. And he said, that has worn off on you. And I thought about it, and he was right. He was absolutely right. I never thought of myself in those ways, but whether I was a person of deep faith or not, my society, the culture I grew up in, all over the country, by the way, in different circumstances, was very much a product of that Judeo-Christian concept and belief. And I got to give the guy credit. Very insightful on his part, and very insightful on your part, Linda. And I take that as a compliment, what you just said about me.
It is. And Chris, just to elaborate on that, our belief systems are so strongly ingrained in us, even in our DNA. We kind of think it's from the time we're born, but it's our DNA carries stuff. It carries history. Mm-hmm. It carries, like people say, diabetes runs in my family. Or why does it run in your family? It's in our DNA. And I'm of the belief that everything that manifests with us physically is something that's linked to an emotional or family systemic issue or entanglement, because I also do family constellations. So where we look at the family system, and that our sense of belonging in our family system is so important. And, I'm sort of going off the subject here, but if we look at today's society, there's so many people who are lost in this world because they don't have a sense of belonging. And that sense of belonging, that sense of strong family upbringing has been diluted a lot in our world today. And it's just the way it is. And so for people to get back to themselves, get back to their heart, and get back to a sense of belonging within, even if they don't have the family structure around them that would give them that sense of belonging, they can connect with themselves and understand themselves more, self-understanding. Who was it who said, know thyself? I think it was either Socrates or Confucius. I can't remember. Socrates, I think, said, know thyself. And you know what? It's so important, because if we really can understand ourselves and have a sense of belonging within ourselves, then it doesn't matter what's going on around us. We will cope. We will get through it. We will survive. Mm-hmm. And that's the sense, So when you're going to war, you've been in the military, when you're on that front line, you have a sense of belonging. You're with your comrades. You're with your team. Mm-hmm. You belong, don't you? You belong to a unit and what does that give you? That gives you strength. Well, I've never been there, so I can't actually talk. And I must ask you, what does it give?
You're spot on. It's and here's the thing: if there's dysfunction in a unit, you know it, and you aren't going to survive. When I went to combat the first time was in the first Gulf War, and I was in a unit. It was kind of weird. I'll try to tell the story quickly, but the unit had been designated for deactivation because the military was going to reduce its size because the Cold War had come to an end. And so it wasn't public announced, but the leadership knew that this unit was going to go away. It's going to disappear. So I was supposed to be the last officer ever assigned there as a young lieutenant. I got there, and then shortly after I got there, Iraq invaded Kuwait and threatened Saudi Arabia, and so the whole equation changed. And we didn't disband. I went over there. But the unit when I arrived was a unit in which there were two majors and the two of the most senior officers of the battalion who didn't like each other. They were always butting heads and fighting. The staff split evenly, and the company commander split. So the whole battalion was kind of split into two camps. And the commander had a bad handle on that. And to make it worse, one of the majors was a spy for the brigade commander, who was the boss of the battalion commander. So you can imagine what a poisonous atmosphere this really was. And I walked into this. I was fortunate I wasn't pulled towards one camp or the other because no one cared. They already all knew that the unit wasn't going to be around in a few months. I didn't, but they knew it wasn't going to be around. So then we got the notification. Actually, we went to an exercise, and I saw it play out. And I'm like, oh, my God, did I join the Army, come back as an officer for this? This is juvenile. And I don't have much of a voice. I'm just a very junior officer in a battalion full of 40 or 50 officers. And so it was terrible. I'm like, this is going to suck. And then shortly after I got notified, I went to Saudi Arabia on the advance party. Then the unit came behind me a few weeks later. And when we went to war, there was still bickering and infighting before we started fighting. But the moment that we got the orders, it's time to cross, that all stopped. It all went away. And the reason I mention this is because you can see night and day between being part of a team and having a divisive, destructive environment. And so we crossed the line of departure. We went across the line of combat. We were engaged with infantry divisions, and then the Republican Guard, the Tawakana, and a bunch of others. And throughout the conflict, the unit just functioned because people were trained. They knew how to behave. And when they had to, they behaved and they got along. But as soon as the fighting was over, oh my gosh, it was back to the same nonsense. And it was very destructive. But the reason I mention this is your point about a team, when you're part of a team. But if can you imagine what would have happened to us in combat if we'd had that destructive environment where we weren't a prepared team and people were bickering all the time, it would have been disastrous because people would have ignored people because they didn't like them, or they would have disregarded this advice because that's a person they don't respect. Fortunately, in combat, it gets sorted out, but it's, that's the same way in families, right? I mean, you get the same sort of dynamic. Yep.
Do you know what? Same thing, and this is what my second song, After Evocative, is going to be about, which in the music video, we're actually going to incorporate the second single into the end of the video to the second song. Exactly what you're saying, that discord and all those voices and things, and it happens to us within ourselves. All those voices in our heads, your own voice in your head, all that rumble is going on and that discord. And I think we all live with that every day. You have to consciously decide kind of to ignore it or to let it go, acknowledge it and let it go, make peace with it. But I think besides family, as you know now, I'm adopted. So, I mean, my identity was completely mixed up for me in my own mind. But I think anybody, no matter where you come from, you've got all that discord in your mind, the same thing. We've got all these voices, what people tell us about ourselves and what our parents told us, teachers tell us, what we think about ourselves. There's all those voices in our heads, and there's a discord. And this is what the workshop is about.
Sorry, Jo.
And find yourself again.
Is part of this concept is to tune out what others say about you? Is that what you guys try to do? The reason I mentioned this is because, did you say yes or sorry?
Yes, and even yourself, what you're talking about.
No, I got yourself because I'm my own worst critic. I told somebody that yesterday because I recorded these videos. I was being it's for a scenario. I was a broadcaster for a fake news network and standing there like I'm in Juba reporting. and I got done. I said, okay, all right, we're going to delete that take because I had 2 unnecessary breaths, which interrupted the stream, and I mispronounced the name, and I paused for just a microsecond at the end because the word was wrong, and I knew it, and I had to pause to make sure I said the right word. And the guy looked at me like, it's pretty good. I said, no, it's not good enough. So you're right. Tune that out. That's part of it. But is it also tuning out the outside stuff? And let me give you an example very quickly, make sure that we're tracking. So one of the things that was amazing about a young man back in the 1980s, it was 70s. I'm trying to remember when. But anyway, Steve Biko. Steve Biko came about with the Black Consciousness Movement, and people falsely ascribe, first off, the ANC takes credit for it. It had nothing to do with the African National Congress. The Black Consciousness Movement was among university students by Steve Biko and others. But anyway, so Biko was about don't identify yourself or have your self-identity be based on what people are telling you are. Be yourself, be true to yourself. Don't be ashamed of who you are. And that's what I'm saying. So is part of what you guys are talking about, is it also to tune that nonsense out? Don't let others define you.
Absolutely.
And it's so hard. That's my biggest thing when I perform. And everybody that knows me knows that. And I grew up like that, especially in the classical world. And being, having the career that I've had since I was very young, is that what everybody thinks about you. And that's what I'm trying to switch off now. And it takes a while. And sometimes you dip, and sometimes, and then you come up again, then you go down again, and then you listen to that again. And, it's a constant work in progress, definitely.
I think, that whole that thing you mentioned, Chris, about the conditioning, we are so conditioned and so kind of brainwashed, if you want, from a young age. And yes, there are certain things of morality that we need to adhere to. If you look at all the religions, they all have the basic principles. Do not kill, do not, don't kill the next door neighbor, don't do this, don't commit adultery. There's basic principles are all at the basic fundamental thing of all societies. We want to treat each other with respect. And so with the conditioning, of you're not good enough. If you don't do this, you're not good enough. If you don't do that in sport, you're not going to make it. If you don't do that in academics, then you're not going to be this. And there's so much pressure and so much conditioning that we forget who we are. So I always say, if something that somebody says triggers you, so say somebody says, actually, okay, you are lazy, or you are fat, or you are the wrong color, or you are this or that, and that triggers you, then that's something you've got to work on in your life. So it could be a pattern of conditioning that's come up, from your upbringing. It could be something that's stuck within you. So I always say, if something triggers you, that's your stuff. And it shows you that there's something that you've still got to work on within yourself. If you say to me, God, you are so fat, and I feel, well, that's your opinion, but I actually feel okay with myself. Then it's not something I have to, then I'm okay in my own skin. So if things that other people are saying trigger us, then there's room for growth. It's just an opportunity for us to move forward into growth. If what people are saying about society, you are black, so you can't do that, that is fundamentally wrong. Why should anybody be? And yes, that's something that, why should I accept that? We are all equal. We all have equal opportunities. That's different. That's a different sort of area. But, so when it comes to global perspective of how people are treated, yes, there's wrong and there's right and that. But when it comes to me personally, like, you are this and I take that personally, then that's all it's showing me is that I can see it as a gift, put it this way. If I'm triggered, I can see it as a gift because it's showing me, wow, there's work to be done. And even if we look at the global consciousness and globally what's happening, if something isn't right, we can say, yes, actually, that isn't right. There's something I need to do about it. We're polluting the planet with plastic. What can I do about it? What can I do to affect change on my little micro level?
Well, I think that's a very healthy thing. Unfortunately, too many other people are telling you what you should do, what you must do based on their lack of knowledge. I got a kick at it when I was in San Francisco for the Sevens World Cup almost 3 years ago now, 2018, and they passed an ordinance banning plastic straws. I'm like, seriously? And what was the reason? Because of the big Pacific plastic swirl. Well, 98% of the plastic that's out in the middle of the Pacific Ocean comes from 9 rivers in Asia and Africa. 1 in Africa, the rest from Asia. So if you want to change the plastic out there, taking plastic straws out of my mouth in San Francisco is not going to do it. But what it will do is it will spread disease in hospitals because people in hospitals are using plastic straws, which are single-use disposable, and they come hygienically wrapped. And then they're like, they switch to paper straws. Well, paper straws are made out of paper, which is made out of wood, which cuts down trees, which leads to erosion, which pollutes rivers, which also they use bleach to bleach it so it turns white. Because do you know trees inside that are white? I've never met one. They bleach that stuff. So these idiots that don't know what they're talking about telling you how to live your life when what they should just do is change their habits. Stop using these. Stop tossing that can outside the window on the side of the road. Stop throwing your refuse out there and be more considerate. And but you're right. It's exactly what. So let me take care of a little bit of housekeeping in the chat. A couple things over very quickly. Roy said, you only get one run at this life. It has to be your way. That's what I've always said. Unless you're Shirley MacLaine or a Buddhist and you believe in reincarnation, or Hindu. Is it I think Hindu, Buddhist or Hindus. Anyway, unless you believe in reincarnation, you get one shot at this, so make the most of it. I agree with you, Roy, 100%. There was another comment here by Jax. Jax said that one of the best presents she ever got from her kids was a poster that says, your lack of planning does not constitute an automatic emergency on my part. Well, that's very similar to a phrase that I've used in my entire life is piss poor prior planning on your part does not constitute a crisis for me. So that's how I say that. And there was one other comment I want to bring in here very quick. I want to make sure I didn't miss it here because the chat started going up while I was chatting there. I'm not finding it now. My apologies. Where was that? There was a message here that somebody said was a very good point. I'm just trying to find it. Oh, no, there was a question. There was a question from Beaver, and he said something about why isn't your gift left here, left? Beaver, I have no idea what your question is. Please rephrase your question, and we'll try to answer it as long as it's respectful, which I imagine it will be. You usually are respectful. Anyway, so now let me shift the conversation a little bit, ladies. Okay, so here's the thing. Early in my career, which some people are like, nah, you're making that up. But early in my career, and for most of my career, I look far younger than my actual age. If you picture me as a senior in high school, you will think I was in primary school or middle school. If you look at me as a captain, as a major, you're like, oh, that guy's a lieutenant. Anyway, for most of my career as an intelligence officer, you got to be taken seriously when you go to a staff meeting. Well, if you look like Opie, or you're like the little kid, who's mopping down his hair, people aren't going to take you seriously because what do you know? You're just too young. You're inexperienced. So I always grew a mustache. When I first arrived in the unit, I agree, you can't show it with a mustache because real men don't have mustaches in the Army. But once you're there and you've proven you're a real man, you can walk and chew gum and do ruck marches like everybody else and shoot just as well as anyone else. Then you can grow a mustache. So I grew a mustache so I looked a little bit older. Of course, it wasn't, this lovely silver color. It was strawberry blonde. But anyway, my point is this. Ladies, okay, Linda, I'm going to get to Jo about her music and how she got into it. But Linda, this is hopefully be taken as a compliment because I think it is a compliment. But you don't look like you've been around long enough to be offering life coach advice. How long have you been in this business? And I mean, without asking your age, you don't have to divulge that. You never ask a lady that. But how long is this something you've been doing for a long time, or something you fell into, or how did you get in this? Are you one of these people with like a PhD and and skills from?
I've actually got a 17-year-old son, so I'm actually not that young.
Okay, all right.
But you know what? I feel young. I feel young, and I feel healthy, and I feel alive. So I'm young at heart, but I'm actually a lot older.
Okay.
And my husband fought in the Angolan War, and he's about 4 years older than me. So then that just worked that out.
You've just made it too easy for me to figure out your exact age.
Anyway, so what was your question again?
No, my question was, it was the roundabout way of saying, okay, so how did you get into this life coaching and the stuff you're doing now? And how long have you been doing it?
So, you know what I've been doing? Courses for the last 20 years and life coaching for the last 5 years.
Okay.
And I've been working on myself for 20 odd years, actively working on myself and going through processes. I had a lot of denial in my life. I think a lot of my life was filled with denial about certain things and things I'd gone through. And so I had a lot of work to do. I had a lot of work to do on myself, and it's ongoing. Haven't reached there yet. When I press the button and say, beam me up, Scotty, to the next matrix, then I know I've arrived at the next level. But so far, I'm still here. Scotty hasn't beamed me up.
You're mixing science fiction there. The Matrix is different than Scotty. So I'm just because
all part of the same.
Part of my audience are very much sci-fi geeks, and they're going to call you out on that. So, all right. So when you talk about the Matrix, it's like Mr. Anderson. Mr. Anderson. That's it. Yeah. Okay. So just had to point that out. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chris. I'm just bringing it all together, creating a wholeness. So I've been doing it for a while. I also do the family constellations, which I bring into the life coaching, which is where we look at the systemic influences and systemic entanglements and issues that one has in one's life. So I used to be in corporate marketing, in FMCG marketing with some of the multinationals, and I loved that. My brands were my babies, and I loved it. Then I had my own children, and I was like, do I really want to go back into corporate life? And I said, no, I don't want the politics. I don't want the falseness. I don't want to be selling products to people. I actually want to help people and not that I can help people, I can facilitate people to find their own answers. And that's what I do. I facilitate people to find their own answers within, because I can't tell anybody anything. They've got to organically experience it and solve their issues themselves. And I'm just a facilitator, that's all. And I love doing that. And through having done work on myself and done family constellations on myself and life coaching on myself, and through learning various techniques, I have got that behind me to help people, and I love doing it. I do one-on-ones. I've also done some workshops, and that really gives me my buzz. And it's being in service to other people is a beautiful, rewarding thing. You know that, Chris. You do that all the time, and it's wonderful to see people shift and change. And through seeing people shift and change, I shift and change. It's impossible for it not to happen.
It feeds on itself, doesn't it? In a positive
absolutely.
way. Yep.
It's like teaching. We learn more by teaching than
that's true. Absolutely true.
Absolutely.
So Beaver, his question was, what he meant to say is, why have these people left South Africa? I'm not sure you're talking about Beaver because both of the ladies are in South Africa. Neither one of them has left South Africa. I think maybe there's some confusion there. All right. Well, thank you, Linda. I appreciate that. So Jo, I'm going to guess that you start, because I mean, listen, I tried to start music at an early age and it was a disaster. I couldn't read sheet music. It was very confusing. I think it was because the sheet music was racist. I was confused by it. No, but I did. I like it just like a little bunch of lines and squiggly things. I mean, I didn't. So they put me in and tried to get, because the drums were interesting to me. And I tried to do percussion and I couldn't quite figure it out. Anyway, the point I'm getting at is that obviously I'm going to guess that you started early in life with music. And if you did, is that the case? And was there a point you realized that that's what you want your life to be about, was music? And when was that?
Well, as I said, I was adopted, and these wonderful parents of mine have adopted me. My mom was a concert pianist, which is very rare in South Africa, especially at the time. And they asked for me to be educated in art and music, and obviously my mom took it very seriously. My dad is not musical at all, but you know what? He's been the backbone, absolutely, of my mom and me, lessons, everything we've done. And I'm so grateful to them for that. Maybe not the best career I could have chosen financially, but eventually my teacher, who was my mom's teacher, Mr. Lucius van der Merwe, who brought up the Pretoria Technikon in every department, when I had to make that decision, because I phoned him. And that was around when I was 16. I already started playing professional violin in the orchestra when I was 14, 15. And I asked him, what do I do? Because I've got these opportunities. And look, he laid it out for me. He said, look, it's your choice. And I decided to go with the violin. So then I went off to Mafeking. After from music, I went to Mafeking, and the
rest is history. Yeah. Well, that's awesome to hear. I mean, it's because again, I have respect for artists, because I mean, I think it's a skill that obviously I can't. I suppose if I sat down as someone, someone spent a lot of time with me, maybe I could develop rudimentary skills, but I've never really been there. It's not something I've had a skill for. But before we go too far, because I want to ask this question. I don't know that Linda, you haven't watched my channel previously, have you? Until before this?
No. I went and watched one or two of your clips. I saw you with your Starbucks.
Well, there's that movie You've Got Mail that came out a while back, and about the internet early days that love, what do we call it, the romance movie with Tom Hanks, and there's a line in there about Parker Posey, the actress, the character, and they say that that she makes coffee nervous. So I've always used that line for myself. I have such a high metabolism. I'm kind of a high energy guy that I can make coffee nervous. So, and if you watch me, I make it nervous because I make it disappear. So, but I don't even drink proper coffee. I find coffee is a vile substance invented by Satan to enslave mankind. That's how I look at coffee. Because if you see the people who are addicted to it in the morning, they can't get through the morning without their coffee. Go away, leave me alone. So you know who those people are. If you're one of them, go get a cup of coffee so we can all deal with you. But it's anyway. That was I got a little bit off track there. But what I did want to get to is ask about these events that are coming up here. On the 11th and the 18th is when you guys have these scheduled for. So is enrollment open now? Because the banner for this is up now. It's going to change, but I'll put the contact information when I update this stream afterwards, so you can reach out to them. But both your email addresses are here. I'm guessing they can reach out to either you or Joe, Linda, and then you can schedule it. And all they're going to need to have is a data connection and Zoom and a presence, and be there after that, right?
Yes.
We'll send them a list, which will be on the email. You're going to need a mirror.
Yeah, you're going to need a mirror.
You need a mirror.
Or journal.
It really does.
They're going to be having fun. They're going to be having fun on this course.
And there's going to be music involved. There's going to be, my track is literally something that's been in me, and that's where it resonated with both of us. So my track will be part of that, of course, which most people don't know that I actually do play the violin. Well, I've always been a violinist, but they don't know that I actually play piano.
Well, your mother's a concert pianist. I would think it'd be a shame if you didn't play piano.
Nobody that about me.
I mean, that's almost expected. Yeah.
I can actually play. I'm not just a teacher.
Okay. So Linda, you just recently, because Jo became familiar with my channel, but Jo has been with us for a while now. I think she was quiet and lurking in the background for a long time because she has alluded to in these conversations, knowing about videos that I've done that I had no idea she was already following my channel. So Jo, when and how did you discover my channel? I'm just curious.
I think it was through Joe Emilio because he tracked me down. I saw something on his cancel culture. Mm-hmm. Of him being a comedian and being cancelled at gigs. Yep. So I got interested. And he actually tracked me down for an interview because I was talking to somebody else, and a trumpet player. I did play trumpet back in the day, one of the instruments I played, but a few of them. And I said to this guy, find me, because I thought he was just being ridiculous, not wanting to teach, lockdown and this and that. We can do a lot of things. But I was talking about the hired gun. And Joe Emilio tracked me down for an interview on the hired gun last year, July, which we did. Hence the album, hence everything is happening. And then I started getting familiarized with your channel as well. Obviously, we try and support everybody, and we look, I'm not very much into politics, to be honest, not at all.
But, neither am I. I don't really like to talk about politics at all.
But but you're good at it. So you've got such a wonderful perspective about things, and that's why I like watching it. And that's how I came across you, and I just thought, well, whenever I can hop on, I hop on. And when you said you wanted to deal with musicians, I thought, well, maybe I can help you with that, because I'm a little bit connected, I think.
No, I think you're a lot connected there. You don't sell yourself short. That's what I was going to get at here, Linda and Jo, is that, and this is, and I'm going to take something, Linda, and see if it makes sense. If you let others define you, if you fall into a box, if you get into a routine, you limit your potential. You limit how you can experience and enjoy life and what kind of contributions you can make. I mean, when I retired from active duty, the expectation by a lot of people, in fact, a lot of my students were college and faculty, like, so you're coming back to teach as a civilian, right? And I'm like, no. They're like, why not? I'm like, well, why would I want to come back here and teach? I mean, it was an enjoyable experience, but now I'm retiring from the military. It's the next chapter. I want to do something different and expand my horizons. And they're like, oh, okay. And a lot of people to this day, when they just assume I'm working somewhere for the government or the intelligence services, because that's where I spent so much of my career. And not that I'm opposed to it. If the right offer came along, I'd probably go, okay, I'll do that. But it wasn't my first thought. My thought was, let's do something different. And I've wanted to make sure that rugby grows. So I've found my way into the rugby world, and I'm a journalist covering that now. I had a consultancy plan all laid out. That kind of fell apart because of COVID. So instead of sitting there and whining about the lemons, I turned into lemonade and started making videos. And then just this here is this presence. That's why when YouTube spanks people, it's so unfair, especially if it's unwarranted, because it really damages things. But because of this, I have a program now offered on Cake Tate. I'll be doing a news program on there in South Africa, a broadcast career there. I had an offer of being on satellite radio offered. It was kind of hung out there. I didn't take it, but it was something I was interested in doing here in the U.S. I'm writing for rugby sites now, and some rugby clubs are actually reaching out to me and potentially offer me something. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff, all because I was unwilling to let other people define who I was and who I should be. Just because I've spent the last 36 years in uniform doesn't mean the only thing I am is a soldier. There's a lot more to me. And I'm not boasting about myself, ladies. What I'm trying to say is I'm trying to use myself as an example to say that you're more than what others make you out to be. Become what you want to be. Do what you want to do, and don't fall into a routine. Or what do you think of those words, Linda?
Linda, we were talking exactly about this. Put yourself out there, right? Mm-hmm. You can define that.
To thrive, you need to be 20% out of your comfort zone every day.
I like that. That's good. Well, I'm definitely out of my comfort zone talking about hugging and new age stones and minerals and oils. And the only thing we haven't talked about here that makes me nervous is pet rocks.
Then you'll have to come and visit me. I've got lots of pet rocks. In fact, it was so funny. When I got married, I had this rose quartz in my room, and it's this size. It's like quite a big size. Mm-hmm. And my husband said to me, "No, I don't want that rock in our room." He said, "You're going to kill me with it."
You're going to use it to bludgeon him. You're going to bludgeon him with it. Okay, I'm not even going to begin to ask what's going on in that relationship. That's
It was just his not buying into all this, rock stuff.
But you know what? And that again, Linda, we spoke about this. And we both were just a bit like holding back a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're just putting ourselves out there. We're taking a leap of faith. We're doing it. And on the back of my actual CD of the album, Alamamic Violin, and this is something also Leo Lizinski, Mark J, Klaus, but especially Leo and Mark always said this. And I actually put it on my CD at the back. Do not let perfection get in your way of success.
Ooh, I like that. That's awesome.
And I actually printed it on the back because I've done this under 10 hours. I threw this other guy overnight. It was meant for another project, but I threw him overnight into the studio with a very difficult song. Sounds very simple, but it isn't. And you know what? He's on my album. We're both going to the AFRI Awards. And it's just about putting ourselves out there, no matter whether it's perfect or not. Especially for me, where I come from, being perfect. Like, I couldn't even hit the pedal with my foot on the piano, but I had to play these big pieces that needed a pedal. I had to make other plans. My teacher used to write to the examinator, and my toe can't get to the pedal, even to touch it. So, sorry, I'm playing these big pieces, but I can't touch the pedal. But I always have to perform just as well as somebody else did. So that perfectionism is so deep in my mind, and we shouldn't let that imperfection get in our way of our success. Let's just do it, and that's exactly what we're doing. We're throwing ourselves out there. We discussed it. We're just doing it, whether we get it right or not, whether it's perfect or not.
You know what?
So we can give people what we know. That is what it's about.
Linda?
And it's from, just to add to what Jo said so beautifully, Jo, it was beautiful, is that we're just coming from a heart space. Yeah. We haven't even the logic, how many people, we're coming from a heart space, and we want to share from our hearts. And that is, I don't know how else to describe it. That's where we're coming from. And we put something together which we have worked to ourselves. And we have changed, having worked through the program. So we believe that whoever it resonates with, and you know what, it's going to resonate. It's going to resonate with some people. It's not going to resonate with others, and that's okay. That's okay. Whoever needs to be on this workshop will find us, and we will find them, and that's how it comes together.
Fantastic. Leuven Janssen from Rendsburg just gave a super chat. Said, Chris, your Chris Wyatt family or tribe helped us through the stress of last year. Well, it's very kind of you, Leuven, and those who like Leuven and others like Erica and Henda who've been with me for a really long time know that, honestly, that was a key motivation for doing it. And then in the end, without even realizing, it was very helpful to my mental welfare. And also, in a time when it could have been so easy to not research, because that's part of what I do. I was an intelligence analyst. I was a professor. I was a soldier, as an officer. At a time it would have been easy not to read, not to research, not to keep doing things. I had a reason to do it every day. I had an audience to keep informed and at times entertained. And unlike a lot of people on YouTube, I don't sit around in my shorts eating Cheetos, drinking beer, making stuff up, and just commenting about how people look. I actually talk about real issues and real things, and it's backed up by experience. So it takes work. But because the channel was there and because I was live streaming and making videos, I had to keep those skills going, and that kept my brain going. It didn't atrophy, and so it was really great. Thank you for the super chat, Leuven. I appreciate that. It's very kind of you. And there was something I wanted to say, and now I've lost track of it in a senior moment here. Hopefully it will strike me back in a second. I was going to ask you guys something. But in the meantime, while I'm thinking about that, everybody's got their soft side. I've got, so it's just...
Wait, I've got a couple of them. Are they in the room?
There, yeah.
Oh, we like that.
Now you can't see this. It's a bunny for Easter. You can't see this, but he smells like chocolate. It's got a chocolate aroma to it, so it's kind of one you want to keep around.
I've got a special unicorn.
Unlike most of the chocolate bunnies we see in America for Easter, you eat them. You don't eat this one.
I've got real bunnies running through my garden.
Oh,
I live in a,
I
Yeah.
had that problem too, but they're gone now. Well, they do a lot of damage. They eat everything that's fresh in the bulbs and they love
They do.
tulips. It's like those voles. Those voles went after my tulips. Anyway.
Hey, my nickname is Honey, so I'm Honey Bunny.
Honey bunny. Okay, well, we didn't know that. That's good to know. Now, Lynn said that she saw you, Joe, on Joe Emilio's interview last year, and so she said it's good to see you again. So that's cool.
Sorry, who was that?
Oh, Lynn, from Rhodesia. She grew up in Rhodesia. Yep, she saw you there. Yep.
Wonderful. Thank you for being here.
Paul Doveton says content creation is the highest self-development. Okay, but I would say I would add a caveat: quality content production, not just not just going on and pontificating. All right, so we've got these 2 days coming up, the 11th and 18th of May. It's a Zoom session, and people just need to reach out to you guys to get signed up for it. Are there still spaces in both the events, or is it already shut down?
There's still spaces.
Okay, all right, cool. Well, I don't want to get everybody all jazzed up and then they can't join.
No, they can. That's open.
And if there's enough demand, we'll definitely do one shortly after that.
Yeah.
So we'll check dates, what will suit people, and evenings and stuff like that. So we'll do something shortly after that. Then, but we would like to keep it intimate until we can reach our admin skills
Yeah.
to do all the things we need to do. So we're going to start small where we can handle that. And then obviously as the demand comes in, we'll quickly schedule again and just keep on going on that and keep on evolving with that. Yeah.
No, absolutely. That makes a lot of sense. So let me ask this question now. Now, Joe, in your case, kids aren't there. As you said, you're floating around on your own, so it's probably not a big intrusion. But Linda, for you doing this, has this been an imposition on your family, or is it take away for your time, or is it just been a good addition to what you're doing during lockdown?
It's been a good addition to what I'm doing, and one of my important learnings in life is balance, because when I get into something, then I give it my all and I just go full guns ahead. And so and my family tell me, Mom, you're spending too much time on that. Mom, you're doing this. And then I go, oh, I must listen. And then so they're my equalizer. You know, your family always tell you the truth. Other people sometimes sugarcoat things, but your family will tell you the truth, and they're your biggest critics. And you sometimes have to listen to them.
Okay, I'm going to take exception. I'm not sure that what world you're living in. Your family tell you the truth?
I do.
You must have a good family.
Oh, she does. I know her daughter very well.
Oh, and speaking of which, I wanted to ask you guys a question. Sorry, Joe. Is that okay? So look, and that's where I was going earlier with this thread about how you do something like I started doing the channel. It turned into so many different things and open. I mean, I know Steve Hofmeyer now. I mean, how would I ever got to know Steve Hofmeyer, right? Some American, but I know Steve Hofmeyer. I know Dr. Corney Mulder. I know Dax, who's a panel beater in Joburg or in Pretoria. I know all these people. I've met all these people, big and famous and not so famous. But how did you guys? How do you know each other? I mean, Joe's into music, and you've got oils and life coaching. I didn't see how these two things linked up. Linda, how do you know Joe?
So Joe, I met Joe a couple of years ago. She started teaching my daughter piano lessons, and I remember walking into this little classroom at the school, and I just felt a connection with this woman, and I thought, oh gosh, I must have her around to the house, and then I thought, oh gosh, is that appropriate to invite a teacher? Anyway, is it going to be? Anyway, but life got in the way, and I was busy, and Joe was busy. And then last year during core lockdown, we went into lockdown in March, end of March last year. I started a meditation online Zoom group, which I did for free, where people came and I would take them through a visualization meditation. And Joe hooked on. And Joe and I got chatting, and we were saying, we must do a collaborative thing together, because, her music and my meditations, we can do something really nice. And so we've had we don't see each other often, but when we talk, there's this deep connection. It's like she's a soul sister, Sorry, I'm getting all fluffy again, Chris.
No, it's quite all right.
We had a class together and just talk nonsense. We've
Yeah.
actually done that.
But we inspire each other. And she inspires me and I inspire, and I love her music. And when I see her playing her violin, it's wow. This woman, she's just got such a beautiful energy. And I just love Jo to bits. And I see her with the children. When I see her perform with the kids on stage, Jo is she's just buzzing and she's just beautiful. And
She's blushing now. She's blushing.
sorry, Jo. Love you, girl.
And we always try earlier. But you know what? I'm an unconventional piano teacher. But at school, I always say I'm the crazy piano teacher. So once I helped out the drummer, I've known him a long time, the drum teacher, and I had to help him because he had the presidency to do and all that. But I was sitting with my sunglasses in the hall. So I had to bottom went, and thanks to the piano teacher that wears the sunglasses at night. But I will take the kids out. I want them to feel it. Mm-hmm. Go and dance with them I said to all the parents, I'm a crazy music teacher, crazy piano teacher. I'll take them out because I want them to feel the swing. And then we'll march 2-4. We'll go up the steps because you need to feel that vibration. You need to feel that motion. Mm-hmm. And so I'm a bit unconventional.
Jo brings music alive for children. She brings the piano alive. She brings it. She's not your stoic, old-fashioned teacher. She is.
No, that's
yeah, she inspires, and she's just got a beautiful energy, and I love that about her, and I love the collaboration that we've done. We inspire each other, and we're both a bit wacky creatively, like we'll go off on tangents, and that's great.
Wacky.
We give each other permission to be a bit crazy, and that's good.
So Jo's not stuffy, is what you're saying.
No.
Not at all.
Well, this excuse me. So this event's coming up. Well, 2 events to do very soon. I'm going to give you guys a chance here in a second to just give some final thoughts about it. But before we go, just a few more comments from the chat over here because let's see. Somebody's asking. Mr. Punisher wants to know if Jo is going to play something for them. I don't know. I haven't asked Jo to play anything. I do notice there's a keyboard right next to her. Not that we're trying to pressure her or anything. I'm just saying,
Well, you have my track. I can make up something probably. Mr. Punisher, you do need to get my details for an album, by the way. Still haven't done that.
Yeah.
Just by the way, called you out with that one. Do it now, do it now, do it now, do it now. Jo's got my details. I don't know. You've got my track, my evocative, but I mean, I can make something up.
Yeah, if you want. I'm not trying.
I can't really do bass. I really can't.
Make something up for us, Jo.
My piano's in the room and it's out of tune.
Can you do a Handel's Water Music Suite?
No, I can do Chopin, but I don't have the whole thing. I don't have the whole piano, so that my piano's in the room. This is a keyboard.
I can play the triangle in the meantime.
So let me play something else. I'm just gonna make up something.
Okay.
This is a tune of.
You're just making it up as you go. I could use that music to narrate a tourism video of Botswana. That would be awesome.
Oh.
Yeah, I can make up a lot. I just want a full size weighted keyboard. That'll really be nice. But I'm very thankful for this. A friend of mine, Michelle, has borrowed me. He's lent me this, the mixer. And that's the only reason why I could do it. I could do rock too. Let's do zombie like we did with Isabella.
Yes, I love zombie.
But I don't have the whole bass. So I had all my students, right?
Yeah.
So I let them, they're still learning. So even if they can do one chord, or even one note or 2 notes, Then I was flying on top and I was flying at the bottom over them like this. And we put together like 18 groups, and that was not even all the students. We got a drummer in, we got a relief for him, an adult student. We got Jesse on the lead. We got, because I gave all my guitar students to Jesse Hooper. And because that's not my expertise. I was teaching guitars because I just inherited this whole job, by the way. I didn't apply for it.
Wow.
And yeah, we did all these wonderful pop groups. Isabella was part of that, right?
Cool.
Yeah.
And it was fantastic. And they just had so much fun, and the guitars were going, but I had to rotate more of the little piano players because there's a lot of guitar players, but you can only do one student at a time on the piano, which was awesome. We had so much fun.
So Linda, I don't know if you saw what I did there, but that was intentional. That whole little spiel right there. Let me explain. You probably caught on to it because you're pretty clever. Someone asked for her to play something, but that came up previously, and I don't have to address chat, and I did. The reason I did that is look how she lit up when she did that. Look how excited and enthusiastic she was, and you can just see. Look at her blushing now. I love this. But look, I mean, that's such a big part of her identity, who she is. It's important to her, and the chance to just do it right there, even though she's shy, was just incredible. And the reason I'm saying this is to say that if you embrace who you are, if you know who you are, you can have a happier, healthier, more productive life. What do you think, Linda?
Beautiful. Couldn't have said it better, Chris. And that's exactly it. When we connect to our true purpose, take all the crap out. Excuse my language. Am I allowed to say that?
No, we prefer that you say it in Afrikaans. Take all the cock out.
Yeah. But all the cup out. And so that's exactly it. Take all the rubbish, all the conditioning, connect with our truth, what's good for us or you or me. And then we can actually live our truth and fulfill what we're meant to do on this planet. And it might be just being a mother, it might be just being a dad who provides for his family and loving his family.
And on top of that,
and that might be enough, and that's good. We don't all have to, become high-flying politicians, and who wants to do that in any case? But but if we can, but put it out there. If there is somebody out there who can bring integrity to politics, please follow your heart. We need that. We need that in the world.
But on top of that, I want to say this, and we both spoke earlier on. You both know, Linda, you know me very well. Chris, you got to know me a little bit better. And no matter what your circumstances are, this is what I want to tell people out there. No matter what your circumstances are, and I'm living it. They can message me, I'll tell them the truth. No matter what your circumstances are, we've got to disconnect from those circumstances. And that's the biggest lesson that I've learned. And still every day I've got to focus on disconnecting from that and just living my truth. Otherwise, I would have, honestly, and I'm going to say this, Chris, I hope this is not going to cause you any trouble on YouTube. Otherwise, I would have committed suicide a long time ago. I mean, if everybody knows my circumstances, seriously, I would have gone to sit I feel like sometimes I want to be an ostrich, just with my head in the sand. But you can't let your circumstances drive you. You can't. Well, we do. Most of us do. Our emotions, our circumstances, all those things, our conditionings. And once we start learning to disconnect from it a bit and just be ourselves and reach more and self-invest more, then you can get through this stuff and you can get out there again. And this is what we're doing. I'm a living testimony of it. Everybody that knows me on this chat, some are long-time friends probably on here, knows that. And yeah.
Well, that's a great final comments from Jo. Linda, let me give you a chance to leave us with anything if you want to talk about the event or just talk about some advice in general, if you'd like.
So, I mean, the question that I'd like to put forward to people is there any area in your life that you are stuck in at the moment? Could be any area. And just ponder on that. And do you desire some form of change in your life? Because then our workshop will interest you. Perhaps you've been working on yourself for years, but there's still something, a little bit of a niggle here. Perhaps you've only just started working on yourself. Perhaps you've never thought about actually becoming more mindful or more responsible with your life. So I'm going to pose those questions and just say, just feel them in your body. What happens in your body? Is there anything that you need to let go of, that you need to look at? Well, yeah, then you know what? Contact us and our workshop can help you through this. So it can bring you home to you. It can bring you closer to your heart, to what your purpose is. And that's what gives Jo and I both, just makes our soul soar. And, you know, we want to soar as in like rise, not soar.
In a very happy way, right? And I also, besides being a blue personality, I also have my red, and I can be very crude and very direct. So, this I've learned from somebody, and this is a true crude question. Are you just going to complain about it? Or are you just complaining? Or are you going to do something about it?
It's good. And that, you know, let's go back to Linda.
I'm not perfect in it, but I always try and do something about it. That's what I can do about it. Step by step, even if I fail, even if I don't always do it, even that little bit makes a difference in compound. So are you just going to complain? Are you going to blame everybody else? Yeah. Or are you willing to do something about it?
No, I think that's a great one. And Linda was a little challenged with science fiction earlier, so I'm going to use a science fiction reference here. In the movie Starship Troopers, there's a very famous line: "Come on, you apes! You want to live forever?" In other words, you know, you're going to do something about this, or you just, you know. So anyway, come on, you apes! You want to live forever? Anyway, great line. Johnny Rico said that, and of course the guy before him, Radix, said that. But anyway, the sci-fi fans will get that reference, and I think everybody in general gets it. Ladies, it's been amazing to have you on. Jo, thanks for suggesting the idea, and Linda, thank you so much for coming on. It's a pleasure getting to know you before the chat in the previous discussion. What you all don't know is that you've got 3 chatty Cathys here, and we could have talked all day. We had to stop because there was other things to do, and we had to cut ourselves off. But it was a pleasure having you on, Linda, getting a chance to know you. Good luck you're welcome. Good luck with these events on the 11th and 18th, and then I'll stay in touch to see how it's going. I can't promise that I'll be one of those new age people showing up for one of those events, but I do encourage.
Come on, Chris, you're already doing the purple pen. Come on.
Yeah, you're right. I've already drank the Kool-Aid. I didn't even know it. Yeah. Oh, there's purple drapes there. But yeah. So we'll anyway. But Jo, also the other event we talked about, we'll make that happen to promote that event coming up, those independent awards in South Africa. And I want to thank you both so much for coming on. I'm going to close out after you guys drop off the screen real quick. But for the audience there, I will be doing a Members Perks stream tonight. For those who don't understand what Members Perks is, that's where only members can contribute to the chat, paying members of the channel. But you can all watch the stream. So you can listen. And at some point, I usually, like Ronaldo Jos does, I usually ask my paying members if it's okay if everybody joins the chat. So usually after about 30 or 40 minutes or so, we let everybody join the chat. But that's a Members Perks stream. Will be tonight. That'll be the 9:35 in South Africa time, Botswana, Namibia time tonight, and 3:35 Eastern Standard. Also, I will be doing once again the Podbean live audio podcast tonight. I'm going to set that up after we go off air here today, and I'm going to go right from my YouTube live stream to the Podbean. And for those who were there last week, like Hendo and Erica and Paulie and not Larsalis, Larsalis was there too, I think, but Lezam was there from Botswana. And for those who listened to it, that was off the hook, too much fun. I will ask that if Lezan comes on, if she starts using her potty mouth, we're going to put her in a timeout. Just letting her know that now. But if you all want to, it's a really unique situation. It's audio. It's like being on the radio with a whole bunch of people calling in. And anyway, so if you want to check that out, that'll be after the stream tonight. It'll be on Podbean, and you can tune in to get the link for that. Anyway, so sorry, ladies. That's something I just want to get out there before the audience disappeared on us, because some of these people aren't getting notifications and they want to know about these things. So anyway, thanks a lot. It's wonderful. You guys have a great weekend, and thanks for coming on the program.
Thank you so much, Chris.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Chris, for all of this. Have a good journey, everybody.
All right, you guys are welcome. I'll let you put yourselves in the waiting room, and then I'll close out the stream.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, folks, that was fascinating. I don't know about the rest of you guys. Okay, Jo she's not quite there yet. Let me see if I can help her out. Hang on, I'll get her in the room, in the waiting room. Put in waiting room. There we go. Okay, so it's just me now. All right, we're going to wrap up here very quickly, folks. Thanks a lot for tuning in to Chris Wyatt Africa on Saturday, the 17th of April, 2021, with my special feature guests, Jo and Linda. This was fantastic. A little bit different, but honestly, not so different. A lot of what they're talking about are things that we've been talking about just in a different fashion over the last year. But I think what they're trying to offer to people is something that could be quite helpful to you. So check it out. I'll put the details up on the description of the video later in the day. You'll be able to find that. My apologies isn't there, but you can actually find their email addresses on the banner. So just go back to the video and pull it up, and you can write down the email address. But I'll make it easier for you to find it, as well as Jo's music and also the website that Linda has. So thanks a lot, folks. Appreciate you all being here. God bless and have a lovely day. I'll be back on in a couple of hours for the members perks on the Night Owl stream today, and then we're going to do the Podbean tonight. So thanks a lot, folks. God bless and have a lovely evening. And with that, I'm going to be out of here and just make sure I get everything straight here. Sorry, because I'm using Zoom, so I got to switch back. There we go. Everything should be off. Oh, everything's off, except I got to turn my logo back on, or I will forget to do it. And there it is. All right, folks, have a lovely evening. God bless, and we'll see you later on here on Chris Wyatt Africa.